I'm going to speak to you in an untethered fashion from over here. First of all, a moment to say, Madam Chairman, President, Mrs. Lynn, or Emeritus, members of the trustees and faculty, you have an extraordinary university. And I also want to say an extraordinary president. I've gotten to know President Ross, one of the coolest presidents around, huh? And to the moms out there, including mine, happy Mother's Day all. Let's hear it for the mothers, come on. But these remarks are to you, the graduating class of 2012, because you're walking into an extraordinary world, a world like none other. The possibilities that you have ahead of you to do extraordinary things is unparalleled. You're living in a world today where literally you and a small team of your classmates can touch 1 billion people on this planet. You can create your future like never before. The technologies that you have at your fingertips are extraordinary. Now, my mission is to encourage you, like your student speaker Alexandra did, to take on 2 things. 1, don't be bashful. What are the world's most important things that you care about? What are the grand challenges on this planet that you want to go and solve? You know, you can make a career in anything these days, whatever you want. What are the most important things? Solving food and hunger and water and energy, education, healthcare. These are the things that will transform our planet, make you wealthy in the process, give your life meaning. But at the end of the day, one of the most important things is for you to find out in your heart, what is it that you would do regardless if anyone paid you or not? That's the most important thing. You know, I grew up in a family of doctors, and I ended up going to medical school. My heart of hearts, I wanted to be an astronaut. You know, since I was a kid, growing up on Apollo and Star Trek, that's what I wanted to do. But, you know, I went to medical school, and it was to make my folks happy, and, you know, getting a medical degree was great. But, you know, by the 4th year, I was telling this story to President Ross. At the 4th year in medical school, I was sitting there. I had started 2 companies, and I was on the verge of, like, not graduating. And I remember going and sitting down with my dean, and I was like, listen, I promise you, if you let me graduate, I promise not to practice medicine. And we shook hands on it, and I haven't practiced medicine since that day. But listen, life is short. And the question is, what do you want to do? Not for your parents, not for your teachers, but in your heart. Doing anything big and bold on this planet is very difficult. It's hard. You're going to be working for decades sometimes, at least for years. And if you're doing it for someone else, you know, when it gets hard, you're going to give up. If you're doing it because it's what you want to do, no matter what it is, then you'll keep going. And I guarantee you that extra push, when the 10th person tells you no, it can't be done, and you say, I don't care what you say, I'm going to go and do it, that is what's going to make you successful. Because that's what it takes in this world. There are many people out there who will tell you you can't do it. You know, they'll tell you they're the experts. You know the way I define an expert? An expert is someone who can tell you exactly how it can't be done. I know in my companies, in my projects, many of my most successful took me 10 years. You know, back in 1993, when I first read about Lindbergh crossing the Atlantic in 1927 to win a $25,000 prize, the idea came to mind for me that I was going to create a $10 million prize to incentivize teams around the world to build private spaceships. Because that was my dream. I wanted to go into space. And the first people I called on that said, it's a crazy idea, it will never work. And then I remembered the words of Arthur C. Clarke. And Arthur Clarke said, there are 3 phases to a great idea. The first phase is people will tell you it's a crazy idea, it will never work. The next phase, they'll tell you, it might work, but it's not worth doing. The third phase is when they tell you, you know, I told you that was a great idea all along. So I took on that idea, and it took me 10 years to raise the $10 million. and to put it out there for the first private team that could build a spaceship. And at the end of the day, 26 teams from 7 countries around the world spent $100 million building private spaceships. And Burt Rutan, backed by Paul Allen in 2004, won the Ansari X Prize. And now any of you who want, as you become successful in your lives, you can buy a ticket to fly into space. And that dream, when people told me no, I'm glad I didn't listen to them. And so I urge you not to listen to the naysayers, to believe in your heart of hearts. And probably the most important thing is find out what it is that you want to do, no matter what it is, more than anything else. So, what kind of world are you living into? What kind of world are you graduating into? Now, you're going to hear, and you hear about it all the time, all the negative things going on. You know, the terrorism this, the stock market that, these murders, those murders, and so forth. And we say, oh my God, the world is getting worse. But the fact of the matter, it is not. The world is getting better at an extraordinary rate. And I want to give you this present. I want you to realize that the news media, who are constantly bringing you news to your iPad and your iPhone, on your TV, on your radio, and your newspaper, their job is to get your attention. And the way they get your attention is by feeding you negative news. Because a part of our brain, the amygdala, is evolved over hundreds of thousands and millions of years to pay attention to negative news. And so we pay far more attention to the negative news than we do the good news. It scares us, it wakes us up, it gets our attention. That's why the news media feeds us that information. But at the end of the day, it's not really the way it is. Do you know that we are living during the most peaceful time in human history? A Harvard professor, Steven Pinker, said that we're living today, violence is 50 times lower than at its peak. You wouldn't know that because every single piece of violence anywhere on the planet is fed to you immediately on every device you have. In the last 100 years, the average income of every human on this planet, adjusted for inflation, has tripled. The lifespan of every human has more than doubled. Every nation has gotten healthier and wealthier and better educated. And the forces leading towards that world are only accelerating. We talked about energy scarcity, but ladies and gentlemen, we're living on a planet that is bathed with energy. 5,000 times more energy hits the Earth's surface in a year than we consume as the human species in the form of solar energy. And there's good news in this area because we have just had the price of solar drop 50% last year. And it's accelerating. We are just 20 years away from being able to meet all our energy needs from solar. And we talk about water wars, but we're living on a planet that's bathed in water. 70% of our planet is water. Yes, 97.5% of it is salt water. 2% is ice. We fight over 0.5%. But the technology is coming online today in nanomaterials and AI and robotics and synthetic biology are going to allow us to extract that water out of the salt water and give water to a thirsty planet. Think about the breakthroughs going on. That in the middle of Pakistan, India, Africa, Nigeria, we have anyone with a cell phone has better mobile comm than the President of the United States did 25 years ago. And if they're on Google on a smartphone, they have access to more knowledge and information than President Clinton did 15 years ago. They're living in a world of information and communication abundance, as are you. And for me, what's going to mark this world that you're coming into more than ever before is what I call the rising billion. You see, in 2010, there were 2 billion people on this planet connected to the internet. In just 8 years, by 2020, that number is growing from 2 billion to 5 billion people. 3 billion new minds are plugging into the global economy. These are 3 billion people who are going to help solve problems, invent new things, consume new things. They're going to pump tens of trillions of dollars into our global economy. The future is what you want to make it to be. You're now more empowered than ever before with artificial intelligence and robotics and nanomaterials and synthetic biology and quantum computing. These are the tools you may not know about yet, but if you do, great. If you don't, you will. These are the things that are going to empower you as teams to literally do what only governments and large corporations could do before. But the technology doesn't matter. Neither does the money. The thing that matters most, more than anything else, is your heart, your passion, your mind. Because what will distinguish you from the other people around is your commitment to creating your dreams. If you can find that passion and tap into it, anything is possible. Graduates of 2012, you're in for an extraordinary life. God bless you all.